Christmas wreath bread comes in many variations and it exists in many cultures. Today's recipe is for a cranberry lemon wreath bread. We'll be making most of the ingredients that go into this recipe from scratch. This recipe ideally is made in 2 parts, the night before and the day of, but you really don't have to separate it like that. You can pack it all in one day, but it will keep you busy. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to involve your friends and family, even if virtually. We'll start by making candied lemon peel. We will need 1 larger or 2 smaller lemons. I usually make this the night before, just so I have extra time on the day of making the actual bread. Peel the lemon skin, making sure you don't catch any of the white layer underneath. Next, cut it into 1/2 centimeter or 1/4 inch strips. This is the amount you would get from 1 medium-sized lemon, which is a perfect amount for this recipe. Put the lemon peel strips in a small saucepan and pour water just to cover it. Set it to medium heat, and then when it starts to boil, cover it, lower the temperature to medium-low and let it simmer for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, drain it, rinse it in the cold water and put it aside. Now for the next step, use the same pot and pour 180 milliliters of water and 150 grams of regular white sugar. You don't have to stir it, just let it dissolve on its own and wait for it to boil. When it starts boiling, add the previously cooked lemon peel, reduce the heat to medium-low, and let the peel cook at a gentle simmer for the next 25 to 30 minutes. You can see here how the peel is supposed to look like after it has been cooked. It should be see-through, soft, and also quite smaller in size. Next, drain the lemon peel and make sure to scrape up all the bits stuck in the sugar at the bottom of the pan. This is the amount of peel you would get from 1 lemon after cooking. But being that I love candied sweets, I always make at least a double batch. Place the lemon peel on a previously prepared sheet with parchment paper and cover it with a good amount of regular sugar. A good amount. Don't be shy. About 100 grams or 1/2 cup. Let it dry for about an hour or 2 before you place it in a sealed container together with the parchment paper and store it in the fridge. Next, we'll make cranberry jam filling. So delicious, by the way. In a slightly bigger saucepan than the one we used for the lemon peel, place 170 grams of dried cranberries and cover them with about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of water, so about 3 centimeters. Once the water starts boiling, reduce the heat to low and cook until cranberries are soft for about 20 to 25 minutes. Remove from the heat and drain the cranberries, reserving about 50 milliliters of the cranberry juice. Place the still warm cranberries in the food processor. Add the cooking liquid. Add 70 grams of regular sugar, 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cardamom, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Pour it in a separate bowl. Oops! And leave it in the fridge overnight. And that's it for part 1 of the Christmas wreath story. You can of course do all of this on the same day. It would just be maybe a little bit too much action-packed, and cranberry sauce and lemon filling wouldn't have that much time for their flavors to set and develop. It would still taste delicious. Next day, start by bringing 180 milliliters of milk to a boil and add 60 grams of unsalted butter. Once the butter is melted, remove from the heat and stir in 100 grams of granulated sugar, followed by 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Stir Stir until it's all incorporated and then set it aside to cool until it just reaches the room temperature. While you're waiting for the milk to cool, in a bowl of a standing mixer, combine 120 milliliters of warm water and 1 packet of active dry yeast. Cover it with a towel and let it rest somewhere warm for 10 to 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, ensure the yeast is nice and foamy and properly developed, and check that the milk has cooled enough to use. It's important for milk not to be too hot since it may impact the yeast in its further development in this recipe. Add the milk to the yeast mixture, followed by 2 extra large eggs at a room temperature, and whisk. Weigh 700 grams of all-purpose flour and add it to the egg mixture. Add 1 teaspoon of cardamom and place the bowl in the mixer stand. Use the dough hook and set the mixer to the second speed for about 15 minutes until everything is properly combined. You could increase the speed for the last 5 minutes in order to get the dough to this texture. While the mixer is working, lightly oil the bowl with a neutral oil. When the dough is ready, place it in the bowl. It should be very soft and supple, slightly sticky, but it should be relatively easy to take the dough out of the mixing bowl without it sticking. Fold the corners of the dough towards the center while rotating the bowl. Make sure that the dough is covered with oil, and flip it over gently, tucking the edges under. Cover it with a towel and let it rest for an hour and a half in a warm place. If you like this video so far, make sure to subscribe. I make videos about most delicious breads and art. Do you like videos about bread and art? Because they are the same. Don't forget to subscribe. Lightly flour your working surface. Line your baking sheet with a parchment paper. And take the dough out. Use your hands or the spatula to gently pry the dough out of the bowl. You'll notice that it's quite heavy, although it should not feel too dense, and it should still have a slight stickiness to it. Tap it lightly with floured hands, flatten it into a rectangle shape. After forming it into a rectangle, we can take the rolling pin and start working on the dough. It will be very stretchy. You can see here that I stretched it to 76 by 35 centimeters. Although you only really need 60 by 30 centimeter rectangle. And now it's time to check on our hard work from previous night. Except it wasn't hard at all. And you can do it the same day. Okay, moving on. Let's start first with the cranberry filling. Spread the cranberry filling onto dough, leaving about 2 centimeters or 1 inch border on all sides. Make sure to level it so you won't have any big blobs of filling throughout. After the night in the fridge, the candied lemon peel is hardened and crystallized. Look at this candied lemon peel, doesn't it look amazing? This would be a really easy and cute gift to make. Sprinkle the candied lemon peel over the cranberry jam filling. And now we're gonna start forming the dough into a wreath. Start rolling at one long side. It's not gonna be perfect at first, but as long as you're equally rolling it along the full length, you will be just fine. Once you reach the end of the roll, tap the seam lightly to seal and rotate the roll, seam down. Using a serrated knife, cut the roll lengthwise. Do this gently so that the roll doesn't start falling apart once it's cut. This is also why you wanted the jam to be spread out evenly, since any big blobs of jam will make the roll unravel and not stay together. Gently join the ends and start braiding. Now this part needs a little bit of dexterity and focus. Just a little. Make sure the cut ends are facing up and form the braid into a circle, pinching the ends to seal. You may find you need to go back and tighten the wreath since it may end up being too big for the baking sheet. Cover the bread with a towel and let it stand in a warm place for 30 minutes. While we are waiting for the dough to rise one last time, let's prepare the vanilla glaze. We'll need 120 grams of icing sugar, 60 milliliters of heavy whipping cream, 1 teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract, and half a teaspoon of salt. Stir it all together until all the ingredients are incorporated and you get this smooth, beautiful, velvety consistency. Preheat the oven to 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit and bake until you reach a deep brown color, depending on your oven, anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes. Let the wreath cool and then drizzle the vanilla glaze over it. The messier the better. Add more cranberries on top of the glaze as a final touch. Once the bread has absorbed the vanilla glaze, move it to your serving dish. The cranberry lemon wreath bread is truly a beautiful, soft, and delicious dessert that definitely makes your holidays complete. I love the beautiful swirl on the inside of the bread. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also hit the little bell button so you can get notified when the next video about a delicious bread recipe comes out. I wish you happiest and coziest holidays. Till next time, bye!